Grandma, I'm locked in. I'm thirsty and hungry. My 7-year-old granddaughter, Lily whispered over the phone, and her trembling voice stabbed straight into my chest. The words came out broken, barely audible, as if she was terrified someone else might hear her. Lily, my little one, my darling granddaughter, she sounded so fragile that my hands began to shake while holding the receiver. Grandma, please come, she repeated in a voice that kept breaking apart, and I could hear her rapid breathing on the other end. The phone almost slipped from my grasp as I tried to process what I had just heard. It was past midnight. The rain was beating violently against the windows of my small house in Queens, New York, and the wind was howling like it sensed something terrible was coming. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears, and panic spread through every part of me. Lily had never called me this late, let alone with that desperate voice that stabbed straight into my heart. The line crackled, but I could still hear every tiny whimper she tried to hold back. Grandma, I can't get out of the room, she kept sobbing softly. Mom and Trevor left and locked the door. I'm really thirsty, Grandma, and my stomach hurts. Her words dug into my soul, and I felt my blood turn cold. Marissa, my own daughter, had locked her 7-year-old child in a room like she was nothing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But Lily's broken voice was too real to deny. My knees shook, and I leaned against the wall to stop myself from collapsing. How long have you been locked in there, sweetheart? I managed to ask, trying to keep my voice steady so she wouldn't panic more. Since they left this morning, Grandma, they didn't give me breakfast. I only drank water from the bathroom. My stomach knotted with rage and fear. 12 hours. My 7-year-old granddaughter had been locked away for 12 hours without food. Abandoned by her own mother. Tears started rolling down my cheeks as I gripped the phone tighter, as if my love could somehow reach her through the line. Listen to me very carefully, Lily, I said, trying to sound calm even though my voice trembled with fury. Grandma is coming right now. Stay near the phone and don't open the door for anyone except me. Do you understand? Yes, Grandma, she whispered so softly my heart shattered into pieces. I hung up and ran to my bedroom to grab my car keys. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely keep hold of them. But adrenaline pushed me forward. I grabbed the first jacket I saw and ran out into the storm. The freezing rain hit my face as I unlocked the car, and my numb fingers struggled to turn the key. Marissa's house was only 20 minutes away, but tonight it felt like it was on another planet. The streets were empty, lit only by flickering yellow street lamps. As I sped through the rain-soaked roads, Lily's terrified voice repeated in my head again and again. How had my daughter become the kind of mother who would lock her own child away? Where had I gone wrong raising someone capable of this? The questions tore me apart as the rain hammered the windshield. When Marissa's house finally came into view, it looked like a dark, lifeless shadow. No lights, no movement. The yard was overgrown and littered with dead leaves. It looked as dead inside as Marissa's heart had become. I parked and ran toward the house, soaked instantly. I rang the doorbell again and again, but the only answer was silence. Of course they weren't home. They had abandoned Lily. I tried the door, but it was locked. My hands trembled as I searched my purse for the emergency key Marissa had given me years ago. The moment it clicked open, the sound echoed through the empty house. Inside, darkness swallowed everything. The air smelled like dampness and neglect. I flipped on the living room light and froze. Dirty dishes piled high, rotting food on the table, clothes thrown everywhere, empty beer cans and overflowing ashtrays on the floor. It looked like no adults lived here, only chaos. Lily, it's Grandma, I shouted, running through the hallway. Grandma, I'm here. Her faint voice answered, and I almost collapsed hearing how weak she sounded. I rushed to her room and found a padlock on the outside of the door. A padlock locking a child inside. Rage surged through me. I ran to the garage, grabbed a hammer, and struck the lock until it snapped. When I opened the door, what I saw crushed me. Lily was curled in the corner of her bed, looking like a wounded little creature. Her pink dress was wrinkled and dirty, her hair tangled, her eyes swollen from crying. Her lips were dry and cracked. She jumped into my arms the second she saw me. "Grandma, I thought you weren't coming," she sobbed, shaking in my arms. I held her tight, feeling how fragile and thin she had become. "I'm here now, baby." "It's over," I whispered as I stroked her tangled hair. Her tears soaked my jacket, but I didn't care. The room was dim, with toys scattered on the floor and an empty glass on the nightstand. The window was locked tight. It wasn't a bedroom. It was a prison. I cupped her cheek gently. "Are you hungry, sweetheart?" I asked softly, pulling her slightly back so I could see her face. Her brown eyes, so much like my own, looked up at me with a mixture of relief and deep sadness that twisted something inside my chest. "Yes, Grandma, I'm really hungry. I only had a little toast yesterday," she whispered, her voice raspy from crying. Yesterday, it struck me like a blow. My granddaughter hadn't eaten properly in more than a full day. A surge of fury shot through me so quickly that I had to breathe slowly just to keep my hands steady. How could Marisa, my own child, do this to her daughter? What kind of mother traps a 7-year-old without food or water? "Come on, sweetheart. Let's go to the kitchen. I'll make you something warm to eat," I told her, forcing my voice to stay light even though inside I was shaking with anger. We walked hand in hand into the kitchen. The place looked even worse than the living room, dirty dishes stacked everywhere, rotten leftovers crawling with flies. The smell alone was enough to make me sick. I opened the fridge, hoping for something usable, and found a carton of eggs, a bit of milk that hadn't expired yet, and a few slices of ham. Not much, but enough to give her a proper meal. Lily sat quietly in a chair, watching every move I made as though she still couldn't believe someone was actually caring for her. "How long have your mom and Trevor been doing this to you?" I asked gently while whisking the eggs. I didn't want to overwhelm her, but I needed the truth. She lowered her head, fiddling nervously with her hands. "For a long time, Grandma. Sometimes when they go out at night, they lock me in, and when they invite friends over, they do it too. They say I annoy them, and they need privacy." Her small voice, so matter-of-fact, made my stomach twist. What she was describing wasn't just neglect, it was cruelty. "And school? Have you been going?" I asked as I slid the cooked eggs onto the cleanest plate I could find. "No, not for a week. Mom says I'm sick." "But I'm not sick, Grandma. I'm just hungry and tired." A whole week missing from school. Marisa had lied to the school, hidden her daughter away, and treated her like a burden. This wasn't accidental. This was intentional, deliberate abuse. "Eat slowly, sweetheart," I whispered as I placed the food in front of her. Lily didn't answer. She just ate fast, desperate like she hadn't tasted real food in days. She downed a glass of water in one swallow. Watching her made something harden inside me. A resolve. A promise. I went to the kitchen window, staring out at the empty, rain-soaked street. The storm had stopped, but the clouds still hung low and dark. They would come back, Marisa and Trevor, and when they did, they would find someone very different waiting for them. Someone who would no longer stay silent. Once Lily finished eating, I guided her to the bathroom. She smelled like she hadn't bathed in days. As I filled the tub with warm water, she stood in the doorway, looking small and fragile. "Grandma, can I stay with you tonight?" she asked in the tiniest voice. I kneeled and wrapped my arms around her. "You're staying with me as long as you need to. I won't let anyone hurt you again. Do you understand?" She nodded, but the fear in her eyes told me she wasn't fully convinced. Trauma doesn't disappear in minutes. While she bathed, I walked back to her room, the room she had been locked inside. I finally let myself look around properly, and what I found there awakened a type of rage I didn't even know I was capable of feeling. Underneath her bed were several empty plastic cups, as if she had been collecting water from the bathroom for days. In one of her dresser drawers, I found small pieces of dried bread wrapped in napkins, as if she had been saving them for when her hunger became unbearable. My 7-year-old granddaughter had been living like a survivor in a place where she should have felt safe. She had been hiding scraps of food and drops of water as if they were precious. The sight made my stomach twist, and tears slid down my face before I could stop them. How had Marissa allowed things to become this horrible? At what point had my daughter turned into someone capable of this kind of cruelty? When Lily came out of the bath, I helped her put on a clean nightgown I found in her closet. It hung loosely on her small frame, almost slipping off her shoulders. She looked thinner than she should, her little arms and legs frail, and the dark circles under her eyes made her look older than her age. "Let's go to Grandma's house, sweetheart," I told her as I placed some of her things into a bag. I refused to let her remain one more minute in the place that had become her prison. But before leaving, I needed proof of everything. I took pictures of the broken padlock, the dirty room, the cups hidden under the bed, and the general filth spread throughout the house. As I packed her belongings, Lily curled up in my lap and slowly began revealing more about what she had endured. She told me that sometimes she heard Mom and Trevor screaming in their bedroom, arguing loudly about money before storming out of the house for hours. When they returned, they smelled strange, their eyes red and unfocused. Her words confirmed exactly what I had feared. Marissa and Trevor weren't just neglectful, they were involved in drugs, drowning in addiction and chaos, dragging my granddaughter into their destructive world. "Have they ever hurt you, sweetheart?" I asked quietly, not wanting to frighten her, but needing to understand the full truth. Lily shook her head no, but then added something that made my blood run cold. "They don't hit me, Grandma. But sometimes Trevor yells at me and calls me really mean names. And Mom says I'm too much for her, that I make her life harder." The idea of my beautiful granddaughter being called a burden by her own mother punched the air out of my chest. No child should ever hear something so cruel from the person who is supposed to love them the most. I finished packing her things and carried the bag to the car. Lily walked beside me, holding my hand tightly. For the first time that night, I saw a faint smile appear on her face. Leaving that house gave her a small sense of relief, even though the emotional wounds were deep and would take time to heal. We got to my house close to 3 a.m. I prepared the guest bed with the softest sheets I had and placed her favorite teddy bear beside the pillow. Lily lay down and asked me to stay with her until she fell asleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, stroking her hair gently as her breathing slowed. "Grandma, can we have pancakes tomorrow?" she murmured, half asleep. "You can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with me every day you want," I told her before kissing her forehead. A tiny smile formed on her lips before she drifted into deep sleep. I didn't sleep at all that night. I stayed in the living room, trying to piece together the disaster my daughter had created. Marissa had hit rock bottom in ways I could never have imagined. The girl I had raised with love had become a mother who endangered her child's life through addiction and a toxic relationship with Trevor. As the truth sank in, a solid plan formed in my mind. Lily was never going back to that house. I would fight whoever I needed to, ever my own daughter, to get legal custody. Her safety mattered more than anything. At dawn, I called my sister Martha, who worked as a social worker in the county's Family Services Department. I told her everything from the night before. She confirmed that I had more than enough evidence to start legal proceedings. She also advised me to take Lily to a doctor to document any signs of neglect. Martha arrived at my house around 8 a.m. while Lily slept. We reviewed the photos and discussed what steps needed to be taken. Martha explained the legal process would be long and exhausting, but with what we had, obtaining temporary custody right away was very likely. When Lily woke up, I made her a big breakfast: pancakes, fresh fruit, and orange juice. Watching her eat happily, telling me about a dream she had, strengthened my resolve. This child deserved love, stability, and a real chance at life, not the nightmare she had been trapped in. Right after breakfast, my phone rang. It was Marissa. Her voice was hysterical. "Where is my daughter, Mom? I came home and she's gone. Her door was open and all her stuff is missing." Her fake panic made my stomach tighten with disgust. She wasn't worried about Lily, she was worried about being caught. "She's with me, Marissa, and she will stay here until you and Trevor take responsibility for what you've done," I said, my voice cold and steady. Silence came from the other end. Then Marissa began screaming, calling me a meddling old woman who had no right to take her child. I have every right when a 7-year-old calls me crying, because she's locked up hungry and thirsty. I shouted back, unable to keep the anger from exploding inside me. Marissa hung up. But I knew this was only the first round of a fight I was completely prepared to win. 2 hours later, I heard a car screech to a stop outside my house. When I looked out the window, I saw Marissa climbing out of her beat-up green car, and Trevor stumbling behind her. His red eyes and messy appearance made it clear he was either drunk or high. Lily heard their loud voices and immediately ran to me, clinging to my leg, shaking in fear. "Grandma, I don't want to go with them," she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. I wrapped my arms around her protectively. "Open this damn door, you nosy old woman," Trevor yelled from outside, pounding on it hard enough to rattle the frame. "Give us the kid back, or we'll call the cops." His threat almost made me laugh. That was exactly what I wanted. The more chaos they created, the more evidence I had of their instability. "I'm not opening anything until you calm down and we talk like civilized people," I shouted back, keeping Lily safely behind me. Marissa began sobbing, screaming that I had kidnapped her daughter and that I was manipulative. But the moment I mentioned that I had photos of the padlocked room and the disgusting condition of the house, Marissa's voice changed instantly. Her hysterical crying slowly shifted into desperate begging. "Please, Mom, please give her back to me. I promise we'll do better. Trevor will stop drinking, and I'll be a better mother. I swear I will." Her words sounded exactly like the countless empty promises she had made over the years. Ever since she got involved with Trevor 3 years ago, Marissa had sunk deeper into lies, addiction, and irresponsibility. Every time I tried to intervene, she would lash out, telling me to stay out of her life. And now, when the consequences had finally caught up with her, she wanted me to pretend nothing had happened. After nearly an hour filled with screaming, threats, and emotional manipulation, they finally drove away. But not before. Trevor shouted that this wasn't over, and that he'd make me pay for what I had done. His threats didn't frighten me, but they reminded me how urgent it was to protect Lily legally before things escalated further. The following morning, Martha went with me to family court so we could file for emergency temporary custody. Judge Edward Reynolds, an older man with stern eyes and neatly combed gray hair, reviewed every photo and document we brought. When he saw the picture of the padlocked bedroom door, his expression hardened noticeably. We also submitted a medical report from Dr. Robert Miller, who had examined Lily earlier that day. His findings stated clear signs of mild malnutrition, dehydration, and severe emotional distress. He wrote that Lily was underweight for her age and displayed symptoms consistent with prolonged neglect. The judge listened as I described everything that had happened the previous night. Lily's trembling phone call, the locked door, the filthy house, the cups hidden under the bed. My voice cracked several times as I spoke, especially when recounting how my granddaughter had rationed water out of fear she wouldn't get any more. Marissa and Trevor arrived late to the hearing. Their appearance alone spoke volumes. Marissa looked disheveled in a wrinkled yellow dress, her hair tangled, and Trevor's red, unfocused eyes revealed exactly what state he was in. He could barely stand straight. When the judge questioned them about locking Lily in her room, Marissa gave a string of excuses that didn't make sense. She claimed it had only been for a few hours, that there had been a family emergency, and that I was exaggerating everything. Even the lawyer assigned to her looked embarrassed by her lies. Trevor jumped in to call me a bitter old woman trying to steal Marissa's daughter out of spite. The aggression in his voice and the hateful attitude only made things worse for them in the eyes of the court. The turning point came when the judge asked to speak with Lily privately in his chambers. She wore a clean pink dress I bought for her that morning, and she held my hand tightly as we walked toward the door. The judge knelt down to her level and spoke softly. "Sweetheart, where do you feel safest? With your mom or with your grandma?" Lily looked at me as if asking for permission to tell the truth. I gave her a small smile, and she took a breath. "With grandma," she said quietly. "I get scared and hungry at mom's house. Grandma gives me food. She hugs me when I have nightmares." Those simple words broke my heart and sealed the verdict. When we returned to the courtroom, the judge announced that he was granting me temporary custody for at least 6 months. Marissa collapsed in tears while Trevor exploded into profanity, forcing the security guards to escort him out. The judge ordered immediate drug testing for both of them and mandated that they enter rehabilitation. Before even requesting supervised visitation, he also required a full home inspection. Before any possibility of reunification could be considered, outside the courthouse, Lily held my hand and asked softly if this meant she could stay with me forever. "Not forever yet, sweetheart, but you will be safe with me for a long time," I told her. Her eyes brightened with a hope I hadn't seen in months. That evening, while preparing dinner, I received a call from my sister Nora, who lived out of state but had already heard about everything through Martha. She told me she supported me completely and offered financial help if I needed it for the legal battle or Lily's care. Her kindness brought me comfort, but it also made me think about how isolated Marissa had become over the years. She had pushed everyone away and allowed her addiction to consume whatever goodness she once had. As I watched Lily eating calmly and talking about the butterflies she'd seen in my garden, I knew I had made the only decision possible. She deserved safety and love, and if Marissa ever wanted her daughter back, she would have to prove she was ready to become someone new. The following weeks were a slow, healing process for Lily. Each morning she woke up a little more at ease, standing taller, smiling more freely. We built a routine: breakfast at 7, playing in the yard, lunch together, and in the afternoons, I read stories while she colored at her new little desk. But healing wasn't easy. Many nights she woke up screaming from nightmares. She would rush into my room, shaking, and tell me she dreamed she was trapped again and no one came. I spent those nights holding her close, whispering gently until sleep pulled her back. One afternoon, as I was organizing the stack of legal papers on my desk, I found something that made my blood turn cold. Among the things I had brought from Marissa's house, there was a drawing notebook I hadn't opened before. When I flipped through it, I discovered page after page filled with drawings that told the full story of her suffering. One showed a small girl locked in a dark room, crying behind a closed door. Another showed the same girl lying on a bed while 2 tall figures argued outside. All the colors were dark black, gray, brown, as if her world had been drained of happiness. But the drawing that affected me the most showed an older woman arriving in a car during the rain. It was me coming to rescue her that night. And for the first time, she had used bright colors: yellow for the headlights, pink for my jacket, green for hope. I took the notebook to Dr. Grace Miller, a child psychologist recommended by her pediatrician. Dr. Miller was warm and reassuring, and Lily immediately felt comfortable around her. After reviewing the drawings and speaking with Lily through several sessions, she told me what I feared. Lily was suffering from post-traumatic stress caused by months of neglect and emotional abandonment. Children in such situations, she explained, learn survival habits, hoarding food, staying silent, hiding their needs because they believe their existence is an inconvenience. But she also told me something encouraging. Lily was resilient. With consistent love, therapy, and safety, she could heal fully in time. Children can recover beautifully when they finally feel protected, she said as she reviewed more drawings where Lily had begun using brighter colors again. During this same time, Marissa continued calling. Some days, she cried, apologizing and swearing she had quit drugs. Other days she was furious, accusing me of poisoning Lily against her. Her unstable behavior only confirmed that she was nowhere near ready to parent. The social worker assigned to the case, a young woman named Carmen, visited my house every 2 weeks to check on Lily's progress. She was always impressed by the changes she saw in my granddaughter. In her second-month report, Carmen wrote that Lily had finally reached a healthy weight for her age and showed clear progress in her emotional stability. But the real challenge arrived when we faced the first supervised visit with Marissa. The visit took place in a small playroom at the social services office, filled with toys and coloring books. I had to wait in the hallway while Lily spent 2 hours inside with her mother under Carmen's supervision. When the door opened, Lily came out quiet and distant. She didn't cry, didn't throw a tantrum, but she also didn't react with any joy at seeing Marissa. It was like she had built an emotional wall to protect herself. On the way home, she asked a question that cut me deeply. Grandma, why does Mom smell weird again? Marissa had shown up under the influence, trying to hide it with heavy perfume and gum. But children notice things adults think they can conceal. Lily's young mind already connected that smell with fear, abandonment, and nights of crying alone. Carmen documented everything: Marissa's unstable behavior, her lack of coherence, and her clear signs of intoxication. Because of that, all future visits were suspended until Marissa completed a full rehabilitation program. Knowing her history of denial, it felt unlikely she would follow through. Meanwhile, Trevor had vanished completely. Neighbors later told us he had left suddenly, taking whatever valuable items he could carry: the TV, appliances, and even some furniture. Apparently, he had decided that dealing with a child and an addicted partner wasn't worth the trouble for him. As cruel as his disappearance was, it was also a hidden blessing. One afternoon, while Lily played in the yard with the pink bicycle I had bought her, I received an unexpected visitor. It was Jason, Marissa's younger brother, who lived in another city and had only recently heard what had happened. He arrived with tears in his eyes and apologized for not being around when Marissa began to spiral. He confessed that he had tried to help her in the past, but she had pushed him away, insisting she didn't need anyone. He explained that Trevor had isolated her from the family, convincing her that we were all against her, a classic tactic used by abusers. When Lily saw Jason, she ran to him and hugged him with a joy so pure, it nearly brought me to tears. It was the first time she had seen someone from her mother's side of the family since moving in with me, and her reaction showed that not all memories from before were poisoned by trauma. Jason stayed for dinner, and throughout the meal Lily proudly told him about her new school, the friends she had made, and the swimming lessons she had started on Saturdays. It felt like she wanted to show him how much her life had changed for the better. Later that night, after putting Lily to bed, Jason and I spoke at length about Marissa and what steps we could take to help her without endangering Lily. Jason offered to help with legal expenses and promised to visit regularly so Lily would maintain a healthy connection with her mother's family. Before he left, he hugged me tightly and said, "Thank you for saving my niece, Evelyn." I love my sister, but Lily is innocent. She deserves happiness, and you're giving her that chance. We'll always be grateful to you." His words brought me a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. They reassured me that choosing to fight for Lily's safety hadn't destroyed a family, was rescuing a child who desperately needed protection. 6 months after receiving temporary custody, the day finally arrived for the final custody hearing that would determine Lily's future permanently. My nerves were gnawing at me, even though my attorney, Richard Vance, assured me our case was undeniably strong. Over those months, I had documented everything: her medical reports, her emotional progress, her perfect school attendance, and even her artwork showing her healing process. Marissa had completed only 3 weeks of her 6-month rehabilitation program before disappearing from it entirely. According to the clinic's report, Marissa had missed several sessions and had tested positive for drugs in 2 of the screenings during her brief stay. Her lawyer tried to argue she had been ill, but the documents proved that wasn't true. On the morning of the final hearing, as I helped Lily into her favorite yellow dress, she looked up at me and asked a question that caught me completely off guard. "Grandma, if the judge lets me stay with you forever, does that mean you'll be my mom now?" Her innocent voice brought tears to my eyes. I told her that I would always be her grandmother, but that I would care for her as lovingly and completely as any mother ever could, for as long as she needed me. In the courtroom, Marissa looked even worse than she had 6 months earlier. She had lost more weight, her hair looked lifeless, and the dark circles beneath her eyes showed how badly addiction had consumed her. Her wrinkled green dress looked as though she had lifted it off the floor minutes before leaving the house. The most powerful testimony came from Dr. Grace Miller, who presented a thorough report detailing Lily's psychological progress. She explained that Lily had made remarkable improvements, but warned the judge that returning her to her former environment could cause a dangerous setback, possibly one she might never fully recover from. When Marissa finally spoke, her entire statement unraveled almost instantly. She accused me of stealing her daughter, then contradicted herself by saying she had been sick but was fine now, and eventually ended up shouting that everyone in the room was plotting against her. Her unstable behavior made it painfully clear that nothing had changed. Carmen, the social worker, delivered her final report, which included statements from Lily's teachers, neighbors, and pediatrician. Every single person agreed that Lily had thrived under my care, showing emotional and physical stability she had never displayed before. But the moment that would decide everything came when the judge asked to speak privately with Lily again. This time, Lily entered his office with a confidence I hadn't seen in her before. She seemed taller, somehow not in size, but in spirit. The constant fear that once clouded her eyes had faded. When she walked out of the judge's chambers, she ran straight into my arms, holding me tightly. Moments later, the judge returned to the courtroom with a firm expression and issued his decision. Permanent custody was granted to me, with the option to legally adopt Lily in the future if I chose. Marissa broke down sobbing, but her tears no longer had the power to sway me. She had been given 6 months to turn her life around, and she had chosen addiction instead of her daughter. 1 year after being granted permanent custody, our lives had settled into a peaceful rhythm. Lily had grown so much physically, emotionally, mentally that sometimes I struggled to believe she was the same terrified little girl I had rescued that stormy night. Her nightmares had almost disappeared, and she woke up humming instead of screaming. Her passion for painting blossomed. Her drawings no longer showed dark rooms or shadowy figures. They now depicted blooming gardens, rainbows, sunshine, and smiling families. Dr. Grace told me this was a powerful sign of emotional recovery. One Saturday morning, while we shared pancakes dripping with syrup, Lily looked at me with bright eyes and asked the question I had quietly been waiting for. Grandma, can I call you Mom? For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Tears instantly filled my eyes as I pulled her into my arms. Of course, my love, I whispered. From that day on, she called me Mom naturally. At first, it felt strange, but the more she said it, the more I realized it was the most natural thing in the world. I had been her mother in every way that mattered. Lily's transformation didn't just change her life, it reshaped our entire family. My sister Martha visited, often and always mentioned how unbelievable it was to watch a child transform the way Lily had. Nora even traveled from another state to meet Lily, staying an entire week to help me redo her room with new furniture and decorations. But the year hadn't been without hardships. Marissa showed up several times without warning, always in a state that made it painfully clear her addiction had grown worse, not better. Once, I found her standing outside Lily's school, waiting for her to come out. I had to call the police after that and request a stronger restraining order. The last time I saw Marissa was the hardest. She arrived at my house at 2 a.m, pounding on the door and screaming for her daughter. When I stepped outside, I barely recognized her. She was frighteningly thin, her hair filthy and tangled, and her hollow eyes had that vacant look. I knew too well the look of someone completely consumed by drugs. Mom, please, just let me see her for 5 minutes, she pleaded, sobbing. I promise, I swear I'll change this time. I'm going to get clean and bring my daughter home. But her promises meant nothing now. I had heard those same words too many times. And every time she had chosen substances over Lily, I told her firmly she could not see Lily until she completed real treatment and stayed sober for at least a full year. Marissa immediately switched from begging to rage. She screamed that I had turned Lily against her, that I was manipulative, and that she would get even with me someday. Her threats didn't frighten me anymore, but they broke something inside me to see my daughter reduced to this shadow of a person. Lily had heard the shouting from upstairs, and when Marissa finally left, she came down with tears in her eyes. Mom, Evelyn, was that sick lady the mom I had before? She asked in a trembling voice. Her question shattered me because it showed just how little she recognized Marissa as her mother anymore. I held her and gently explained that yes, that woman was her biological mother, but she was very sick and couldn't take care of her right now. I reminded her it wasn't her fault and that she never had to worry, would always protect her. Lily hugged me tightly and whispered that she only wanted a mom who loved her and wasn't sick. As the months passed, Lily continued to thrive at school. Her teachers constantly told me how bright she was and how she had developed a cheerful, confident personality that made her classmates gravitate toward her. It felt like she was reclaiming every year of childhood she had lost. She also began asking about my life and what her mother had been like growing up. I showed her old photo albums of Marissa as a young girl, and Lily was surprised at how much they resembled each other physically. Mom, Evelyn, why did my mom from before change so much? She asked me one afternoon, while we looked at her high school graduation picture. I explained gently that some people make choices that hurt themselves, and Marissa had used things that made her sick and changed who she was. Lily listened quietly and then said something that made me so proud. I'm never going to take those bad things. Mom, I don't want to get sick like her. During this time, I received some news that brought a glimmer of hope. Jason, younger brother, called to tell me he had located a rehabilitation center specializing in severe addiction treatment and was willing to pay for the entire program if Marissa agreed to go. He had been searching for her 4 weeks and had finally found her living on the streets downtown. He told me she was in terrible shape, but had finally admitted she needed help. The program lasted 6 months, followed by 2 years of support, and had a promising success rate. As much as a part of me wanted to believe she could recover, I knew I couldn't let hope interfere with Lily's safety. I told Jason I supported his efforts, but Lily could not have contact with her mother until she completed treatment and proved long-term stability. One afternoon, while Lily was playing in the park with her new friends from school, I sat on a bench watching her. She laughed freely, her cheeks flushed with joy, her little body full of energy. The confidence with which she interacted with the other children warmed my heart. Lily had found her place again, surrounded by love, stability, and opportunities that allowed her to grow into her full potential. She was no longer the frightened little girl shaking in my arms. She had become a strong, bright, determined child filled with dreams and hope. She had survived a trauma that could have broken her spirit forever. Yet, she had risen with a resilience that inspired me every single day. That night, while we were working on her science homework, Lily caught me completely by surprise with something she said. Mom, Evelyn, when I grow up, I want to help kids who feel sad like I used to. I want to be a doctor for broken hearts so kids can be happy again. Her words made me pause. In that moment, I realized that everything we had fought through, the long nights, the hearings, the fear, had all been worth it. Lily hadn't just healed. She had turned her pain into a purpose. 2 years after that conversation, Lily had blossomed into an extraordinary Her kindness, intelligence, and determination amazed me every single day. Her grades were excellent. She had developed a true gift for painting, and she had become a natural leader among her friends. One spring afternoon, while we were driving home from her piano lesson, she asked something I had been expecting for a long time. Mom, Evelyn, do you think the mom I had before is better now? Jason had been updating me on Marissa's progress at the rehab center, and for the first time in years, the news felt hopeful. Marissa had completed the 6-month program and had remained sober for 8 more months. According to Jason, she had found a part-time job in a flower shop, was living in a small, tidy apartment, and was faithfully attending her support meetings. It seemed she had finally found stability. The rehabilitation center had encouraged Marissa to write letters to Lily as part of her healing. Letters that were not meant to be answered, but simply to help her process her guilt and express her feelings. For the past few months, she had written every week. I always read them first to make sure they were appropriate. The earliest ones were filled with desperate apologies and promises that reminded me of the Marissa I used to know, the one who tried to manipulate with emotion. But slowly, her tone began to change. The letters became calmer, more reflective. She wrote about her recovery, her mistakes, and how proud she was of Lily without begging for anything. In her most recent letter, she wrote something that touched me deeply. My dear Lily, every day I stay sober is another day. I get closer to becoming the mother you deserved. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect you to want to see me. I just want you to know the love I feel for you keeps me going when things get hard. Your grandma Evelyn is an angel who saved you when I couldn't. After thinking it over for days and speaking with Dr. Grace, I knew it was time to talk honestly with Lily about the possibility of safe, supervised contact with Marissa. I needed to understand what she felt without influencing her. One evening after dinner, we sat on her bed and had a conversation I'll never forget. I told her that Marissa had been working very hard to get better and that there was a chance she might be ready to meet again if Lily wanted to. Lily listened quietly, turning a doll's hair in her fingers while she processed everything. After a long silence, she looked at me with those thoughtful eyes that reminded me so much of my own. Mom, Evelyn, do you think she won't hurt me anymore? Her question made my heart ache. It showed she fully understood the risks, even at her young age. I told her I would never let anyone hurt her, and that any meeting with Marissa would happen in a safe place, with professionals present, and could end the moment she felt uncomfortable. I assured her she didn't need to decide right away. Lily asked to read some of Marissa's recent letters. As she went through them, she asked thoughtful questions about what certain phrases meant. Mom, Evelyn, why does she say she doesn't expect me to forgive her? Did she do something very bad? I explained that Marissa understood. She had made choices that caused a lot of pain and that she was now trying to take responsibility. I told Lily that forgiveness was personal, no one could demand it, and she didn't owe it to anyone. A week later, Lily told me her decision. Mom, Evelyn, I think I want to meet the lady who used to be my mom before. But only if you stay with me the whole time. And if she tries to take me or makes me feel bad, we leave right away. Her maturity stunned me. She was setting boundaries adults often struggle with. I reached out to Dr. Grace to arrange the meeting. We decided it would take place in her office, with her supervising the entire time, and the first meeting would last only 30 minutes. We also created a simple signal Lily could use if she wanted the meeting to stop. The day came faster than I expected. Lily got dressed carefully, choosing her lavender dress and the new sandals I had bought for her. During breakfast, she was quieter than usual, but not anxious, just deep in thought. When we reached the office, Marissa was already seated in the waiting room. Seeing her stunned me. She looked healthier, like she had stepped backward in time. She had gained weight, her hair was clean and neatly styled, and her eyes were clear for the first time in years. She wore a simple pale pink dress and held a small, carefully wrapped gift in her hands. When she saw Lily, her eyes filled with tears, but she quietly held herself together so she wouldn't overwhelm her. Hello, Lily, Marissa said in a soft, shaky voice. You look so grown up. So beautiful. You've changed so much I hardly recognized you. Lily stayed close to me, but responded politely. Hello, my mom Evelyn told me your name is Marissa, and you used to be my mom before. When you were different. Her blunt honesty would have crushed most people. But I watched Marissa take a slow breath and accept the words with grace. Yes, sweetheart. I was your mom before, but I was very sick and couldn't take care of you. That's why Grandma Evelyn became your mom. She's taken wonderful care of you. For the next 30 minutes, I watched them talk carefully, cautiously. Marissa told Lily about her job at the flower shop, about the art classes she'd started taking, and the books she'd been reading. Lily told her about school, her friends, and piano lessons. What struck me most was their body language. Marissa kept a respectful distance and didn't try to force closeness. Lily relaxed little by little, though she never let go of my side. Toward the end of the meeting, Marissa handed her the small gift. Inside was a high-quality paint, set brushes of all sizes, and a pad of watercolor paper. Jason told me you love painting, she said with a hopeful smile. I thought you might enjoy creating something beautiful. Lily examined the set with genuine appreciation. Thank you, Marissa. These are really nice. I'm going to paint a picture of Mom Evelyn's garden. Marissa smiled with tears gathering in her eyes, clearly touched by Lily's gentle response. When the meeting ended, Dr. Grace spent a few minutes speaking with all three of us to understand how we felt. Marissa expressed her gratitude for being allowed to see Lily and promised she would respect any decision we made about future visits. Lily said that Marissa seemed kinder than the sick lady she remembered, but that she still needed time to think about everything. On the drive home, Lily stared out the window quietly for several minutes, before suddenly saying, "Mom Evelyn, Marissa looks like the pictures you showed me of her when she was little. She doesn't look like that lady who yelled outside our house anymore." Her words showed me just how perceptive children can be when someone is genuinely changing. That night at dinner, Lily asked me to tell her more about what Marissa was like as a child. I brought out more photo albums and shared stories from when her biological mother was young before addiction destroyed her life. Lily listened with fascination, almost as if she was learning about an entirely different person. "Mom Evelyn, do you think Marissa can ever be like the girl in the pictures again?" she asked while studying a photo of 8-year-old Marissa smiling on a swing. I told her that people can heal and change, but it takes a lot of time, work, and courage, and not everyone succeeds. She nodded thoughtfully. Over the next 6 months, Marissa and Lily continued to meet once a month at Dr. Grace's office. Each session lasted a bit longer than the one before, and little by little, I saw a cautious but very real connection forming between them. Marissa never pushed, never insisted on anything. She simply showed up each month as a steady, respectful presence who honored Lily's boundaries. In their 5th meeting, something beautiful happened. Lily had brought a painting she had made our garden, filled with vibrant flowers and butterflies. When Lily held it up, Marissa's face softened completely. Tears filled her eyes. "Lily, this is stunning," she whispered. "You have a real gift. I hope you keep painting your whole life." For the first time, Lily gave Marissa a genuine smile. "Thank you. Mom Evelyn says I got the love for art from you because you used to paint when you were little too." Marissa looked at me with gratitude, realizing I had kept that part of her memory alive for her daughter. Then Marissa did something that deeply moved me. She turned to Lily and said, "Sweetheart, I want you to know something. Evelyn is your mom now, and she always will be. I lost that right when I couldn't take care of you. But if you'd let me, I would love to be your friend, someone who supports you and loves you without ever asking you to choose." Lily looked at her seriously. "Marissa, does that mean you're not going to try to take me away from Mom Evelyn?" Marissa shook her head firmly. "Never, my love. Evelyn saved you when I couldn't. She loves you more than I can ever say. I just want to be part of your life in whatever way you decide is safe for you." That moment marked a major turning point for us. Marissa did something few parents in her position ever do. She set aside her own desires to put her daughter's emotional well-being first. She acknowledged that I had become Lily's mother not because of court papers, but because of everyday love, sacrifice, and protection. During the summer, Marissa asked if she could take Lily to a children's art exhibit at the City Museum. After a lot of thought, I agreed and went along as well. Watching Marissa interact with Lily in a relaxed public environment allowed me to see even deeper changes in her. She listened carefully, encouraged Lily's creativity, and asked thoughtful questions about the artwork. She didn't interrupt, didn't try too hard. She simply supported and followed Lily's lead. It felt like I was seeing a version of Marissa I hadn't encountered in decades. After the museum, Lily surprised me by asking if Marissa could come with us for ice cream, and so the 3 of us went together. During those quiet moments, I saw the beginnings of a new, balanced family dynamic. Marissa never tried to compete with me or overstep my role. Instead, she complemented it, always staying respectful and aware of boundaries. That night, when I tucked Lily into bed, she looked thoughtful and said softly, "Mom Evelyn, I think Marissa is a good person now. She doesn't smell strange anymore, and her eyes don't look sad like before. Do you think we can really be friends, like she said?" Lily asked softly. I told her that relationships grow slowly and that if she felt comfortable, we could continue seeing Marissa from time to time. I reminded her that she would always have the freedom to step back if anything ever felt wrong. and that no matter what happened, I would always remain her primary mom. 1 year after that first supervised visit, we reached a moment where an important decision needed to be made. Marissa had stayed sober for 2 full years, had shown emotional and financial stability, and had honored every boundary we had set. Dr. Grace recommended that we start considering visits with less supervision. Lily, now 11, had developed a gentle, affectionate bond with Marissa. She still called her by her name, not Mom, but she spoke of her kindly and genuinely looked forward to their monthly meetings. She had found a way to have both of us in her life, without confusion or conflict. One night, during our usual bedtime talk, Lily asked me a question I had quietly expected for some time. "Mom, Evelyn, did you forgive Marissa for what she did before?" Her question made me reflect on my own journey. I explained that forgiveness is rarely simple, but that watching Marissa truly worked to change, especially seeing how respectfully she had treated our relationship. I felt I had forgiven her. I told Lily that forgiveness didn't mean erasing the past, but choosing not to let it control the future. Lily nodded thoughtfully. "I forgave her too, Mom Evelyn. But I'm still glad you're my real mom, because you'll never leave me or get sick like she did. Marissa can be my special friend, but you're my mom forever." Her words assured me that we had navigated this delicate situation in the best possible way. Lily had healed from her trauma, created a healthy connection with Marissa, and still felt completely grounded and safe with me. On the 2nd anniversary of the day I gained full custody, we held a small family gathering. For the first time, I felt comfortable inviting Marissa. Jason came too, with his wife and children, and the atmosphere was warm and full of love. During dinner, Marissa asked to speak. Her voice trembled as she said, "I want to thank Evelyn for saving my daughter when I couldn't, thank you for loving her when I was lost, for protecting her when I was dangerous, and for letting me be part of her life again once I learned how to be healthy." Then she turned to Lily. "My beautiful girl, you are the reason I found the strength to heal. Every day I've stayed sober has been for you. I know Evelyn is your real mom, and I'm honored to be your friend." Lily stood and hugged her. "Thank you for getting better, Marissa. I like having you as my special friend." Marissa cried silently as she held her daughter, understanding this was the greatest gift she could ever receive. That night, after everyone left, Lily and I sat on the porch under the stars. "Mom Evelyn, do you think Marissa will stay well forever?" she asked with the cautious hope of a child who had learned adults sometimes fail. I told her honestly that I couldn't predict the future, but I could promise her I would always protect her. I also reminded her that Marissa had shown 2 years of real commitment, something worth believing in. As I watched Lily absorbing my words, I realized what we had achieved together was extraordinary. We had taken a situation that might have destroyed us all and turned it into something imperfect but full of love, respect, and healing. Lily had grown into a remarkable child who understood forgiveness, boundaries, and second chances with a maturity far beyond her years. Marissa had learned to be part of her daughter's life without threatening her stability, and I had discovered that the greatest legacy of my life wasn't simply raising Marissa, was rescuing and raising Lily. When I tucked her into bed that night, she said something that captured our entire journey. "Mom Evelyn, I think in the end, we all won. You won a daughter who really loves you. I won a mom who will never leave me. And Marissa won the chance to know the strong girl I became. Because of you." Her words filled me with a peace I had never felt before. After years of fear, struggle, and uncertainty, we had found our place as a different kind of family, one built on love, sacrifice, and the belief that people can change if they find a powerful enough reason. 5 years later, I sit in my garden in Queens watching Lily practicing piano in the living room. She has become a confident, compassionate young woman, She plays a melody she composed herself, one inspired by our family story. Marissa has now been sober for 7 years. She runs her own flower shop and recently married a kind man named Michael, who understands and respects our unique family dynamic. Lily was the one who walked her down the aisle, not as her daughter, but as a dear friend who witnessed her transformation. Their relationship is now something tender and genuine. They see each other regularly, sharing art projects and long conversations. Michael often says he's never seen a family so filled with maturity and mutual respect. Lily is in her senior year of high school and has been accepted into several top universities with full scholarships. She plans to study child psychology, fulfilling the dream she expressed at 7, helping children with broken hearts. 2 months ago, she surprised me with a request that brought me to tears. Mom Evelyn, I want to legally add your last name to mine. I don't want to erase my past, but I want the world to know you're truly my mother. We went to the courthouse together, and the same Judge Reynolds, now retired, congratulated us on turning something painful into something beautiful. Our home has become the heart of countless celebrations, birthdays, graduations, piano recitals, and monthly family dinners where Marissa, Michael, Jason, and his kids gather around our table. Lily is the light that connects us all. Martha and Nora remain vital parts of our lives. Martha, now retired, helps Lily with her volunteer projects for children in crisis. Nora visits every Christmas and always comments on how love, not biology, built our family. Dr. Grace has become more of a friend than a therapist. Lily still visits her sometimes, not because she needs counseling, but because she wants advice on helping other children. One afternoon, while old photo albums, I found Lily's drawings from when she was 7. We sat together looking at them, those dark, frightened images, and compared them to the bright, hopeful paintings she creates now. Mom Evelyn, it's amazing to see how my inside world changed, she said, holding a drawing from her traumatized past. 3 weeks ago, Marissa asked to speak with me alone. With tears in her eyes, she told me, Evelyn, I can never repay you for what you did for Lily and for me. You gave me the chance to know the incredible young woman she became. You allowed me into her life even after all the pain I caused. I am a different person today because your love showed me what redemption means. Her words made me reflect on forgiveness again. Marissa had proven that people can change when they find a reason powerful enough. For her, that reason had been Lily, and my willingness to offer a second chance made it possible. This morning, as I prepared breakfast, Lily came downstairs with her usual bright smile and hugged me tightly. Mom Evelyn, do you know what day it is? It was the 9th anniversary of the night that changed both our lives. Forever the night a frightened little girl called me for help, and I answered without hesitation. I want to celebrate today as our real Mother's Day, she told me. Because it was the day you chose to be my mom, not by accident or obligation, but out of love. Her words warmed my heart in a way I can't describe. At 71, I never imagined I could feel joy this deep. As I write these lines, I know Lily will do great things. She carries with her the lessons of resilience, compassion, and hope we learned together. And when she helps other wounded children, she will give them what I once gave her: love and the certainty that someone will always fight for them. Our story began with a desperate call in the middle of the night, but it became a testament to the power of love, the possibility of second chances, and the truth that the strongest families are often the ones built, not born, through commitment, sacrifice, and unwavering hope.